Hello, everybody. Hello. It says I'm going live. Hello, everybody. Hi. We're live. We're live. We're on the internet. We're exist. Hi, everyone. Yay. There's people in the chat room already. There's Triple Eight Berg, Axel Soft, and Sonic Neutronic. How are you guys? Beautiful. I don't know if Darren's coming. He hasn't said he isn't, so we'll leave him blank up there. And I thought I was going to get someone else, but it might just be me and Andrew this week. And if it is, we can do this view. In fact, I might actually do this view. Guest. That looks better.
Ooh.
I'll just keep an eye if Darren turns up. And if he does. Cool. Awesome. Lisa had to pull out at the last minute, so she'll probably be in the chat room, no doubt.
Darren's in the chat. He's a little late.
That's all right. You can jump in, Darren. We'll just wait for you. It's pretty quiet. Everything's quiet, isn't it? I don't know if you're allowed to get out. I know some places they're complete lockdown, so they're not allowed out of their houses, but we're still allowed out to go shopping in Australia and do basic things, essential things.
Kind of.
Unless we're in forced isolation. So if we've been travelling overseas or something like that, which is not us, we haven't gone anywhere. But
want to go to a wedding.
You probably don't want to go to a wedding right now because they've got restrictions on how many people can go to a wedding now. They can only have weddings with less than 10 people. It's going to be a pretty boring wedding.
It's 5 people, isn't it?
Yeah, that's going to be a pretty boring wedding. I mean, unless you're the person getting married, which probably won't be a boring wedding. Or maybe you should talk yourself out of getting married. I don't know. If you love the lady, how bad can it be? How bad can it be? Here's Darren. There we go. Darren's here. Let's check your audio, Darren.
1, 2, 1, 2. Wait a minute. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
All right. That's fine. I thought I wasn't plugged in properly.
Well, you are. So you've just disappointed yourself. You're coming in very, very, very quickly, Darren. Very quickly. Wow.
Very quickly?
Yeah, very quickly. Very, very little latency on you, which is actually... Andrew's latency is higher than yours. Go work that out. He's in a different country.
He's too close here.
Yeah, it's decided to go all the way around the world and back again to get to me. That's interesting. Yes. Interesting topic today. I don't know if you...
I look a little bit pixelated.
It's not my fault. It could be... It could just be the connection. Bear in mind, there's a lot of weird things going on with the internet. There's a lot of people now using the internet more than what they would be because they're stuck at home. So you don't know what ISPs are doing. There's so many things going on. If they detect it's some sort of streaming video, they might bandwidth throttle it. I don't know. It could be anywhere.
Yeah, everyone's using like Zoom rooms and stuff like that.
Yeah. Now analytics says it's all good. Stream is healthy, excellent status. Analytics is good.
Yeah, it actually looked better. I actually look better on the stream I'm receiving than the one I'm actually receiving from you, if you follow.
Yeah, yours is it's pixelated, but there's no reason why it should be.
Maybe it's prioritizing audio.
Maybe. I doubt it. That would be...
It's a nice, hopeful thought.
That'll just be wishful thinking. Dearie me. Did we... So... We didn't get an answer back from Chob. Okay, that's fine. It's probably too late now to take anyone else on. All right, cool. So, hi to everyone who's just joined. Finn and Mr. Mac and Commissioner Manu. ASIO Head, awesome. It's good to see you again, mate. We are going to start the show in about 5, 7, 6, 7, I don't know, somewhere in there, minutes. So we're not far away. We are just setting up. Everyone's audio seems right. I had someone whinge to me that I'm a useless YouTube host because I had everyone's audios at different levels and how useless I was. And yeah, that was nice of them. You get such lovely people in the world.
Well, at least you listen to you to find out.
Actually, speaking of being useless, Darren, no, just joking. Your audio could come down a dB. You were just peaking just then.
How's that?
Just continue to talk for a sec after you finish your mouthful.
1, 2, sounds perfect. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Yeah, somewhere in between that and where you had it.
Okay, how about that?
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
You got it. You got it. Just guys in the chat, you can confirm whether we are all sounding okay. I actually pumped my mic up a little bit today because I thought I was a bit low. So my mic is, you can just see the corner of it. That's the pop filter right there. If you're wondering where my mic is.
It's good to see Mike, then you can,
So g'day Mike, how you going? Hi Inky. Hi, who else have I said hi to? Andrew Brooks, how you going? Awesome. Okay, a couple of minutes away. Right, have I got everything ready? That's a good question. I was looking at, we don't have any eBay scam prices this week, which is a real shame. So we'll have to skip that one. But anyway, that's okay. Definitely got some funny stuff, and we've definitely got some news too. So, yeah, and hopefully one more thing I want to bring up in the news. Okay. I'm actually really behind today, which is weird. I don't normally get behind like this. Okay, and I need one more pick. One more pick. Sorry guys, it's not very good live streaming when I'm just sort of looking at stuff on my screen. I do apologise.
How is it over there anyway?
Oh, everybody's dying and stuff. No, it's not too bad. It's not too bad. Everyone's just doing the same thing all over the world. They're all social, what do you call it? Social distancing and locking down and closing. People are losing their jobs left, right, and centre. It's fantastic. It's so surreal. I mean, what do you say? I mean, this is just, it's affecting the whole world. We're all in it together.
Yeah.
Although where I am, they decided to vote today.
Yeah, that was just insane. What was that? How stupid.
Council elections. And as opposed to other places in the world, it's compulsory voting. So we all had to go out and do it.
I wonder if you've got scope to sue the government if you caught the virus when you were voting. There probably would be.
You'd have to prove that you got it from there.
You'd have to know a QC or something though, wouldn't you? You'd have to know someone that wears a wig. One of those real
And not just on the weekends.
Yeah. Not just on the weekends. Yeah.
It's something we should know.
Well, you know the saying "bigwig." You know where that comes from, don't you? So
Yeah.
it comes from the lawyers.
And you
All
know
right.
why they were the wigs? So they couldn't be recognised in public.
Xils-labs got one. Alesis Micron for £555, which is about twice as. Yeah, I mean that one's not really scam. That's probably more just price hungry. But yeah, if you want to, how are you going to get me a link? Maybe if I just do a search on eBay, I might be able to find it. Are we that desperate for an eBay scam? How much time have I got? 3 minutes. Nothing's showing up there. If I scroll down to international. Yeah, I think I found it. Is it from Japan? Axel, just confirm, is it the one from Japan? Yeah, that does sound a bit too much. I'll put that in. I reckon it's this one. US.
Have you seen the Yamaha?
US 645 for an Alesis Micron. That's definitely scammy. Yeah, keep going.
You seen the Yamaha CX5M computer that's like 1500?
Yes, yeah, I have. Is it what is it normally worth though?
I don't know. That's a hard one because they are fairly rare, but I don't know if they're very useful.
Yeah,
it is in good condition, so it might be just more collectability.
Yeah, it's 1,500 Australian is like about $50 American now. Our dollar is not worth anything. That's why everyone should just deal in gold now. All right, we've got one. Thanks, Axel. We'll put this one in. Hopefully it's the right one. What did he say? I've got the window closed in chat. Yeah, it's not the same one, but this will do. It's close. Look, if that means there's two of them out there. Let me add it in. I've got to start the stream. Quick. Come on, 1 minute to go. Nothing like the pressure. Quick, where is it? Okay, we got one. Thanks to Axel. Cool. All right. Ready? Let's do it. Well, hello and welcome to another live stream, and it's another Saturday, and we're all stuck in our home studios, hopefully we're pumping out lots of music, and just wanted to say hi and welcome, and we'll go to everybody here in the call side of things. Big hi to you guys. Darren and Andrew, how you going? I'll go to you first, Darren, just because it's easier. How's your week been?
Different, let's put it that way.
Right. Shall I continue to say hi to Andrew?
In the same boat as many people, don't know that you've got a job when everything's all finished, so we'll see. Well,
we can sort of talk about it with privacy in place, but let's just quickly say hi to Andrew as well. How you going, Andrew? Nice to see you again.
Thank you. Yeah, good. It's been a busy week this week. Not so much music-wise, but just been some work stuff, and I've just been spending this evening learning how to use a open source version of Sample Robot to try and sample some stuff. So doing some multi-sampling tonight, actually.
And that's software?
Before the stream.
Software?
Yeah, it's a little... What's it called? Now you've got me on the spot. It's called Sample Scanner, and it's a little... command line thing, and actually what it does is it just it sends off the notes and hits record at the same time and just records all the different notes that you need, and then turns it into sound font, but I'm just using it for the WAV files and throwing them into devices.
Awesome.
So I've been experimenting with that tonight. Yeah, it's been interesting. Been good fun, actually.
That's really cool. Okay, brilliant. Well, let's also, because I actually forgot to do this last week and I felt terrible, saying hi to the chatties, because they're all, here as well. So as I usually do, I'll scroll from all the way back to the start and say hi to the first person who joined, and that's 888 Berg. So he's got the in before Guernsey this week. Axel Soft, how you going? We've got Sonic Neutronic, and I'm scrolling. Andrew Brooks, Mr. Mac, Finn, ASIO Head, and I just know I'm going to miss someone. Commissioner Manu. Who else have we got? Inky's, how you going, Inky? Nice to see you. Hopefully everything's going well. Burkut. Sorry if I mispronounced that. I'm not like those people on TV that can pronounce things perfectly. But you can let us know how to pronounce it so I can get it right next time. Good to see you back as well. And who else have we got? Anyone new? That's it for now. It's a cozy list. But big hi to all of you. And if you are lurking, jump in and say hi, because it's worth it. It's worth it. We're not going to bite. Anyway, this week, Andrew came up with the idea of actually doing some sort of sci-fi theme, and I thought it was a good one. So we're doing. We called the stream Area 51 because this is the 51st episode I've ever done on a live stream. Last week we forgot to celebrate the 50th episode, and we kind of got talking about everyone just celebrates these sort of decimal numbers. So let's celebrate a prime number. We're going to celebrate 51. This is the 51st episode, and if you've been with me since the start, I feel sorry for you, but thank you very much for your support. It's been amazing. But 51 episodes, how? That's a year. Because I did have a couple of weeks off. That is a lot. And that year has flown by. And I don't think I'm any better at it than what I was a year ago. I might even be worse. But anyway, big thank you to everyone for that. So let's get stuck into our usual segments, starting off with the funny side of things, because we need a bit of a laugh. Let's have a laugh. Come on. Starting off with, I'm watching you out there, synthesizer and music companies, and if you faff, I'm going to pick it up. Absolutely. Native Instruments. You're sending out messages and telling people that you're going to give people anal. Come on, what's going on? I don't know if that would be a very good corporate thing, but Native Instruments, come on. I really think you should be a bit better than that. Moving right along, and stop the vocal jokes. This guy wants everyone to stop live streaming your shitty bedroom DJ sets. Sorry, mate, not going to happen. Just not going to happen.
He's not social distancing enough there.
No, I think it's an old photo, and I definitely think that's photoshopped. But anyway, we'll keep going. Now, this one I did, and I thought, well, bugger it. Behringer actually on their Facebook site said caption this, so I did.
Ow.
So yeah, that one's going to hurt. Not as much as our mate, our Prime Minister from Australia, Scotty from marketing. He's telling us all to stay home and play your synths. I think it's nice of him to say that, don't you? I mean, at the same time, he's one of the rare leaders that doesn't have the coronavirus, so he might like to jam at home with his kids as well. Good advice.
I've only got one thing to say about that. It's too clear a message.
Yes, you're not confused by it.
I'm not confused by what I'm actually supposed to be doing.
Well, I know, Darren, your Prime Minister, and also your Prince have both got the virus now, and I don't know how that managed to work, but there's been a lot of memes going around with Diana in them.
I'm a health secretary.
In the health secretary, wow. So apparently Diana has come back to life, and she's given it to Charlie quite a bit. She's saying Karma's a bitch. But anyway, that wasn't very nice. We shall move on. We do have some news this week, so let's roll the stinger for news. Okay, welcome to news. Now, this week I think the news is actually pretty cool. I've tried to stay away as much as I can from big ticket things that cost us money and try and keep it to things that save us money or things that are free, which I think is what we all need. Now, hopefully this will work. So we'll start with this one. If you have a Volca sample and you've been living under a rock, there's a great guy out there. His name's Peter, or Pagan, his name is on the interwebs. He has been doing firmware, unofficial firmware for the Volca FM, and now he's done one for the Volca sample. And it is awesome. So this is free, and you can actually download it on my website, which is just ranzy.com. So if you're looking for it, it's just a WAV file. And then don't ask me how to update your Volca, check out your user manual. But what this does is it allows now for you to chromatically play your Volca sample. Now, I know there's been an algorithm you can put on the RK002 cable, the Retro Kids cable, this one, and you can play chromatically with that if you've got one. But there is actually a problem with that where it actually runs out of voices or something. There's some limitation to that, and this actually doesn't have that limitation. So this is actually a step even better. It's more improved. So just sort of putting that one out there. Also, it's got implementation for velocity sensitivity for a sampler. That's awesome for a little tiny little sampler. No triggering, pitch, velocity per part and per pattern options. You've got, this is for you, Andrew, new CC messages for changing patterns, reverb, mutes, and reverse. So he's implemented some CC messages there for the RPNs. And there's Omni mode and a drone mode for those who love to use noisy sort of samples and drone out. Now, like I said, it's free. And I am going to be doing a video on it this week, or next week maybe. So stay tuned. There is a video already out. Someone's done one. I've gone through all the settings, but mine, just watch mine. Mine's better. Anyway, so let's get a quick reaction from our guys here. What do you guys think of the Volca sample unofficial firmware? Anyone who, other than me, who else here has got a Volca sample? Hands up. No one. Okay. So, does that spur you now to go and buy a Volca sample? Not that we want to spend money right now.
No.
I'd be tempted. I must admit, I've got friends who use them and they swear by them.
They're good.
Yeah. Look, I think this is one thing that I find Korg gear really interesting, and I really like the fact that we've got things like the FM and the sample getting these extra kind of firmware updates. It's just a pity that it has to come from the public as opposed from Korg. It would be really nice if Korg did a bit more updates with their products, because they have these sometimes they have some really good pieces of equipment, but they never, they just don't get them quite over the line. And I've a few times that I've bought things and I've gone, this would be really cool if it just had these extra couple of features. And I would really like to see Korg actually do that more, or if they're going to not bother, make that kind of thing a lot easier so that we don't have to have people doing a whole bunch of reverse engineering.
Yeah, open
but
source.
Or similar. I mean, it's something. They are doing a lot of this kind of stuff now with things like the NTS one.
Yep.
If I remember my acronyms properly, and what they're doing with the XD and the Prologue oscillator stuff. But yeah, I really hate they abandon things, even though they're kind of still selling them. They may take it on, but yeah, I think it's really awesome, and I think I'm amazed at the person who's doing it. I'm taking it's the same person who did the FM mod?
Yes.
The FM firmware?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a fantastic. I think I'm really amazed that he's doing it. It's good.
Oh, he's a genius too. He's reverse engineered both firmwares. Obviously he sits there and painstakingly looks at a hex editor. So that would just be insane.
That's a certain kind of madness there.
It's a certain kind of madness. But well done to him. Anyway, so if you do want that, it's on the website, on my website. And to update it, it's not going to void your warranty. All you have to do is just put one of the official firmwares back on if you've got an actual hardware problem with your Volca sample, and it's still under warranty. So don't worry about voiding your warranty. It's just firmware, unless you absolutely screw up the firmware update, which is probably not a good idea. Anyway, moving right along, we do have more news. Now, this is another free update, and if you have a very, very big synth budget and you own a Waldorf Quantum, you can get a new firmware update for this.
I'd like one of them.
Oh, I would love one of these. This is something that I am definitely wanting. It's on my definite list. I do have a video this week. Yay! Last week I completely forgot. Now my Mac is frozen. I forgot to do those videos for all that Eurorack stuff. I had videos lined up and everything for the Eurorack gear, and the Mac has completely frozen to the point where I have to get my other keyboard.
Is this the little mini Mac?
It's my little Mac Mini. Yeah, I fixed it. There was a little I was about to kill it off and put it to its grave, and I ended up buying new memory sticks for it. And these are the old ones here, actually, still sitting here. These are the old memory sticks that came out of it. And I put new ones in, and all the problems that it had.
Can I hear like crickets or something in the background?
Yeah. Yep. There's crickets here. Yep.
All right.
Okay, we've got the video lined up. Okay, 1 second. I'm having a shocker tonight. The Mac is, I don't know what it's doing. It's pen a Mac. Come on, Mac. Come on.
So it's took me all this time to realise that it's not my side.
Apart from the crickets.
Yeah, I could hear this like in the background, and I thought I've been ripping wires out and everything. I'm thinking I don't know what it is. It's just something I don't know. And it just dawned on me then that it's not.
Let's have a look at this. Shows more of the screen here. Anyway, I will put the link to that video in the description below. But yeah, Waldorf Quantum.
And you know it's going to be built well, don't you?
Yeah. So let me tell you a little bit about it. I might as well go to this view. There's not really much point putting a picture of a Quantum up. It has a complete new kernel rewrite. So whoever at Waldorf decided we are going to completely rewrite this kernel, and we want to do it for a big reason, and that is so you can now have 6 kernels can have classic waveforms, noise, and also wavetables, and you can combine them all together in different combinations, or use a ready-to-use template and go your own way. So that makes this thing very customizable. So it's really a sound designer's dream, this synth. It's getting to the point where this firmware is big. And I don't even think people will even realize how good this firmware update is. So if you're interested in getting a Waldorf Quantum, this is probably now a good time to have a think about getting it. Anyone want to have a quick comment about that?
What's the Waldorf go for these days?
The price? Someone in chat can tell us, because I don't want to type.
That's fine. It's just I remember seeing the Waldorf when it first came out, and I was a little disappointed with it. So this sounds really good. I'm quite impressed seeing that they're actually kind of redoing it all. because it does sound great. It just it'll be good to see what happens. I'd be keen to watch some of the reviews when they come out.
Yeah, they definitely needed to do this update. That's kind of where I'll go with it. What were you going to say, Darren?
I was just going to say, it does sound really nice, and that they're built like tanks, and it just looks really, really nice. But like you say, it's what's going underneath the hood is what needs to be corrected, and it looks like they may have done that.
Yeah. I think you'll probably hear more about this synth in the next coming weeks or months as people start to realise what this update has given them. All right, let's keep going. We've got some more news. So the next one off the rank is actually... So that one was free, by the way, that update. So I'm keeping true to my word that I'm going to be giving people sort of free updates or cheap news, inexpensive news. Anyway, this one's pretty cool. I don't know if you saw this, Darren. This is a company in... I don't know where they are. Somewhere in Europe called Plankton Electronics, and they've made these cool things called Ninjas. And for some reason... I've disappeared. There we go. And these things are like little stars, like little ninja stars. But what they are is they're passive helpers for either import or output connections, 3.5 millimeter, and you can get them in four different types from 3 to 6 imports. Now they're only €22 for a 4-pack. So I can see so people are saying, what the hell are these for? Why are these so good? They are space savers. So if you're into modular, you will see this immediately as a space saver. So that's what this is for. And notice how you can put cables through the middle as well. So this is actually pretty cool. Really, really good idea. And I'm actually really keen on getting one of these myself. €22 is nothing. Darren, because I know you're into Eurorack, does that sort of thing look handy for you? I was getting feedback from Andrew just then. So you got one?
Not quite the same.
Oh, you got the Belkin.
Not sure yet.
You got the Belkin thing.
No. It's a camera. Very similar.
Oh yeah. It's like the Belkin thing though.
Yeah, this is I forget who they're from. Bafako, I think.
Bafako, yeah. Okay, cool. Awesome. All right, let's keep going. More news to go. The news is good this week. Keeping it right in that sort of that rule I said before, I got a good little offer for you guys, and that is I don't normally talk about software and VSTs much, but in the video description there is a link for you guys to make use of this. This is actually some sort of amazing deal. $430 is what they normally charge for this Aurora Choir by Aria Sounds, and you can get it for $39.99. And it's not a scam. I use these guys. They're called audio plugin deals. They're completely trustworthy. I've actually already bought some stuff from them already. This deal ends in 10 days, but what you'll get is 11 gigabytes worth of vocal, choral, and sort of sopranos, altos, all that sort of stuff in it as a library, as a VST, and it's a contact type library, this one. So if you're interested in that, there's a link in the description. I think that's awesome. I've heard this, I've got it as well, and it is really high end, very, very good. So there's that one for you as well. Okay, we are finished with the news. Awesome. Pretty sure we got there. Yep, cool. The only other news, I guess, is kind of like well, yeah. Actually, no. Whatever we go, don't worry about it. Okay, so the next section is we do have one. What do you call it? eBay scam, which with Xilsoft brought up. So let's roll the stinger for that. And the world's longest stinger. Waiting for it to finish. Here it is. And I'm not sure if this is the right one, but it definitely fit the price tag sort of bill. Alesis Micron for $645 US. It's about £500. So it's kind of the right sort of thing. It is free postage, so that's a bonus. It's in Japan. It's about 1,000 and something Australian. That is a lot of money for an Alesis Micron. These things aren't, in my opinion, collectible yet. They are pretty cool, but they're not 645 or 650, let's say, round figures, US dollars cool. They're definitely not that. So yeah, there's your scam of the week. Brought to you by Axelsoft. What do you guys think of that? All good?
I've never heard of that one. I've never heard of one actually.
An Alesis Micron.
So
they're kind of boutique-y. They actually do sound pretty good. They're a virtual analog-ish type synth. Yeah.
But they'd be about 10 years old or something, I think, aren't they?
Oh yeah, they suffer from all the old technology problems like aliasing on the filter and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, some people will start
and they
that.
They got rebranded as a Akai Miniac as well, so the same engine in that.
Right, I didn't know that. I did know about the Akai Miniac though.
Yeah, and they actually it's all based on the Alesis Ion, the big Alesis Ion keyboard as well. I think it's the same engine between all three.
Yep.
But they don't go for $1,000.
No, they don't.
It's usually about a quarter of that is the average I've seen.
Now, for some reason, my social thing's not working. Come on, worky. Because I like to flag the comments on the stream, and I'm not able to do it until this thing decides it's going to connect. There we go. Let me connect. Finally. Now refresh. Here we go. Cool. All right, so now I can actually see everyone's comments. It's a bit hard doing this when you can't see everyone's comments. All right, cool. So let's go back to the Ion. Wago said the Ion engine enhanced and crammed a tiny little chassis with bad controls. Yeah, it was. It does. All right, cool. You can so Triple Eight Berg said you can get a Micron for $175 US from Gumtree here in Australia. So there you go. Whose cat is that?
Was that a cat?
That's mine. Sorry.
Oh, we've got to see the cat on the stream. Bring your cat.
Know.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Show us your cat.
My cat does not like being picked up.
There we go.
Oh.
Now, does he sit on keyboards?
A little.
Your viewing's all just gone up
now. There you go.
Oh, wow, that's nice. We like to see cats. Awesome. Well, big hello to...
Well, your viewing figures can go up now because it's cats with keyboards.
Yeah. Big hello to Andrew's cat anyway. Let's get stuck into...
That's Waffle.
Waffle, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Let's get stuck into today's topic, which is sci-fi synths. So, I just think it's something that, some people probably are interested in. I definitely think in some cases people have got into synthesizers because of sci-fi movies. And I definitely know that that's a fact. Not me personally, I got into synths because of a guy called Jean-Michel Jarre, but other people have got into it because of sci-fi movies. And I'm just going to take you down a little bit of history. If for those who have not really sort of paid attention to, the history of synths and that sort of stuff, this is not really like, a Mark Doty sort of perfect history of synth type things. So don't shoot me. This is just a real, very basic overview. So let's go all the way back to Forbidden Planet, which is a 1950s sci-fi. And there's Louis and Bebe Baron actually were the composers for all the sounds in Forbidden Planet. I don't know if anyone's actually watched it. I've watched it, and that was an amazing series. It was really, really popular for people that were around at that time, and it has a bit of a retrograde sort of popularity following now. But what I thought I'd do is I'd talk to you a little bit about how they started with this sci-fi stuff, and they really kind of formed what was to become they're not probably, I wouldn't say they're the originators. They might be. Someone might want to argue that. I don't know, and I'm not really, that's not what it's about. But let's have a look at this guy called Ben Burt, and he's going to talk about how they use sort of magnetic tape in a studio to make the sounds in the Forbidden Planet. I think this is really interesting. Now, I don't really care if YouTube gives me a copyright sting on this. Who cares? Let's just do it.
Today everything is digital. It's in a computer. You operate it with a mouse. And
it's really quiet.
Back in the day when Louis and B.B. Barron were creating sounds for Forbidden Planet, they had a studio that was based on magnetic tape. And at that time, sounds were recorded and played back on a roll of magnetic tape. And it would be threaded up on a machine. You could record sounds and wind through it, play it back. You could splice it. It was a physical medium. Like the Barons did for Forbidden Planet, they started out with raw sounds, so electronic sounds. They might have sounded something like this. Well, we'll demonstrate here. First, we'll just by playing a sound on the original tape, like this, into this machine. We start recording. Put it in playback. We start bringing up the feedback. Sound is now looping around and folding itself and unfolding itself into something brand new, sometimes harmonic, sometimes dissonant. Other things you can do, of course, is...
I'll just pause it there because I've got obviously there's a bit of link in the video description, but that just gives you a little insight into how they did some of those sci-fi sounds in those really, really early sort of days. And can you even go back to sort of even before the Forbidden Planet? They had like the movie The Day the Earth Stood Still, and some of this stuff is just incredible. I just thought we'll just take you back a little bit with some of this stuff. So let's have a look at that one. Now, those guys actually used an orchestra to do those sort of scientific-y sort of spacey sounds. So that's, when you sort of go back, that was 1951. The Forbidden Planet was around 1956. So you can see how they were starting to evolve. And then obviously you started getting into the 60s and they had Star Trek. And I've actually got, there'll be a link in the video. There's actually a really, really great site where you can download all the Star Trek samples. There's a stack of them too. There's like probably about 1,000 samples on this website. If you're a real Trekkie, you'll love that. So I could probably even bring one or two of them in here. Let's see if we can do this. That disappeared on me. What I'll do is I'll just get that teed up when I'm doing something else actually. So we'll pause on the Star Trek stuff. I've actually got a few samples that you guys might like anyway. Moving on to probably, so the 60s was kind of real Star Trek-y stuff, and there was a heap of scientific movies and that. And that's where you'll start to see them starting using things like the theremin and some of those modular type synths were used. So it started to get really synthesized based. And what I thought I'd do is talk about maybe Doctor Who, Clockwork Orange obviously there's John Carpenter with Halloween. There's all these really, really good examples of early sci-fi synth stuff. But why don't we do Doctor Who, because I can actually recreate Doctor Who right here because I've actually got the synth that they originally used. So let's do that one. Ready? So there you go. It was done with an Art Odyssey. And if you ever never knew that, there's actually a video on YouTube where you can actually watch an interview done on the BBC. In the actual theme tune, they used a CS80 and an Art Odyssey, and I forget that there was a vocoder in there too, which I can't think of the name off the top of my head. Someone in chat will probably be able to remind us. But that whole sort of Dalek voice was done on a CS80 through the ring modulator. So yeah, crazy stuff. But it's good to know that we've got these synths starting to be remade, and we can bring back some of these fantastic sci-fi sounds. What I might do is go back to maybe you, Andrew. Did you have a sci-fi sort of favorite and a synth favorite, maybe?
I'd probably go the classic Blade Runner. Vangelis with the CS80.
Yeah.
But I actually didn't mind the new soundtrack as well. A lot of people weren't happy with it, but I really enjoyed that. Look, I just like how they did a lot of the creation. I mean, early Doctor Who as well, I think, used a lot of tape loops as well, and they were doing some really interesting things. And just there's so many good examples, I guess. But and obviously, you got Close Encounters and stuff like that as well, which was that was an ARP as well, wasn't it, for Close Encounters? Someone can correct me on that one. And then obviously, I think there's so many classic things, but I think the other thing I like out of sci-fi is where they've used synths and controllers and stuff like that as part of the props as well. So I think there's an early Star Trek movie where they use an Oberheim DX as one of the control panels for one of the consoles. So I like that side of things as well. There's some really interesting things if you go looking for some of that stuff.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it was good that you brought up the ARP, because obviously the famous sci-fi ARP was the 2600, and they used that to do R2D2's voice. So I mean, that's probably the famous one. But yeah, like you said, Blade Runner, and once again CS80. That synth has been in so many things a lot of people probably don't even realise it. What about you, Darren? I know this topic's probably sprung on you, but did you have any sort of sci-fi movies that kind of had that synthy sort of feel, and they sort of inspired you, maybe?
Probably a bit like Andrew, probably Blade Runner. And like Andrew, I did like the Blade Runner 2049 score. I thought was quite good as well. And I believe that was using some soft synths as well. And Doctor Who used a lot of tape, reel-to-reel stuff as well, like to create the TARDIS coming on and things like that. It wasn't just synths, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think that the original Doctor Who wasn't a synth either, but I mean the theme tune that I played was on the Odyssey. Yeah.
And a lot of the effects were all done like at the BBC, like like the Foley stuff, and put on reel to reel, and then like you say, all mangled. It's quite interesting when you start looking into that, and it's quite fun to do, just on a Foley type sort of vibe. Even with your computer now, you can still do it. Obviously not as hard work, but you can still do that type of stuff.
Yeah. And that whole sort of tape effect, and that the tape delay and the splicing and the feedback loops and things like that, that was pretty much their go-to, wasn't it, for that sort of sci-fi sound in the early days? Yeah.
There was a composer that was recently doing it for soundtracks too, and I should dig this up in about 2 seconds now that you're speaking about this, and he did it for... Damn it. The movie's escaped me. I'll look it up and I'll come back to you on it.
Oh, that's all right. While Andrew's doing that, I do have one of the Star Trek sounds here, so let's have a listen to this. I don't know how this is going to work. Let's try it. People should recognise this. It's amazing, isn't it? I mean, we could just have that playing in the background, looping during the whole show.
It's like a good modular set.
Yeah, it's just amazing how they came up with these sounds. There's what else is there? There's this one. Let's get that one working. So this is Deep Space Nine. So this is a bit more modern.
I love the creativity on a lot of the incidental sounds.
Yeah, the noise in the background. There's just lots of bleeps and blips, and it's like when you catch an aeroplane, there's that sort of that constant noise in the background of the engine rumbling. It's very similar to that, isn't it? It's very clever. I mean, obviously phaser sounds and if you're a real synth geek, this sort of stuff, you can just sit there and create it all. But let's have a listen to a phaser. That was like an original Star Trek one. Yeah.
Remember when you used to load tape for games? Like on computers, and you used to tape.
Yes.
And you could hear the sound going through.
The binary sounds, yeah.
Yeah. If you record that and then slow that down really a lot and put it through reverb, you get some really cool effects.
Yeah, that's a good tip. Yeah. It's amazing how much tape is influencing it, isn't it? So, I mean, even the modems, the old days when you used to dial up on the internet, the modems had those sounds too, didn't they?
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
slow anything down and put a load of reverb on.
No, I didn't. But the problem with modem sounds these days is that they work well for a certain generation, and then when you sort of play them to younger generations, they'd actually have no idea what that sound actually represents anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sort of, which is it's great when you use those sounds and you hear them in things, or DTMF tones, and you hear them in music and stuff like that, and then people go, what are they? They just don't know what they are.
There you go. What synth's that from? What VST?
I can just leave that running in the background. It's a bit of a short loop, that one. But all those were just Star Trek samples that I got off this website, which I'll link as I promised before, it'll be after the show's up. It'll be in the description of the video. But yeah, let's go to the chatties and see what they're up to, because there's probably some really, really cool ideas coming out of these guys. Very, very clever people. Loading programs on a ZX Spectrum. Yeah, definitely, Andrew. So Wagyu thinks that the D50 was used a lot in TNG Star Trek. Yeah, interesting. I didn't know that. I wonder what they used in the original series, like that bridge. I mean, I could listen to that. That's amazing. That's the original series, isn't it? That sounds so cool. Whenever you think Star Trek, you think of this sound, don't you? It's so cool. I'm probably going to get massive copyright strikes for that, but anyway, that's fine. Yeah, Lost in Space was a great one for sounds. Michael Elliott said, definitely. And 2001, oh yes, Space Odyssey. Wasn't that, that was a famous composer, wasn't it, that did 2001? Jeez, if you're into classical music, I've forgotten who it is now. Never ever do live streams because you have these uncomfortable memory failures.
Yeah, I know.
It does. It's true, isn't it, guys? You want to say something, and normally you could just blurt it out, and when you're on a live stream, it's like.
And then you say over to Andrew. You say over to Andrew or Darren, and you know what you're going to say, and then it just goes. Yeah, and then you forget about it. What was I saying before? It's like old man syndrome. Yeah. Can you hear my kids going crazy in the background? Sorry about that, guys. It is late here too, so there's obviously something going on. The wife will look after it. I can hear the crickets.
Yeah, I've got a window open. I think I've left a window open, Darren, so I apologise for that. But it's not too loud, is it?
No, you must have had it on all of. No, it's not. It's just like I say, what Inky said, that I've always had this in the background of thinking it was me, something to do with my side, and it's just dawned on me now that it's yours, and
it's my sci-fi.
It sounds
background.
So surreal.
It's my sci-fi effects.
It is.
Just sample the crickets and put them through some effects, and then you can have your own droning background for it.
Mate, I get crickets watching my YouTube videos because it's about the only people that watch them. So, and that's usually the people that laugh at my funny side jokes as well. All right, moving right along. Anyone else got some suggestions for your favourite sci-fi? These are the guys in chat. So, favourite suggestions? Stravinsky, was it? What was the name of the 2000? I'm going to have to Google it now. Someone can Google it. 2001 Space Odyssey was a famous... the name of it was called something else. Anyway, someone will come up with it with that wonderful 10-second delay. Oh yeah, Inky was saying when she had that mind blank when Ken was asking her about the grid a few weeks ago on the stream. Yeah, we all get that, absolutely. So yeah. Anyway, so bring up your favourite Richard Strauss. Yes, it was Strauss. Yeah, it was. I'm pretty sure it was Strauss. Yeah, I think Andrew's got it right. Okay, so the stuff that we talked about in the stream so far, anything, whether it's in the news, whether it's Sci-Fi Synths, whether it's you like how I played the Arp Odyssey with a really crappy Presonus reverb on the background. I don't know, what is it that you guys want us to talk about? Did I leave anything out? Am I being naughty for not doing anything to do with Star Wars? I did mention the 2600. I'll give you a fun fact. The sound of the lasers in Star Wars, the original 1978, is it, movie? Episode 3. That was actually someone hitting one of those metal cables that hold up telephone poles, and they're hitting it with like a pipe or a hammer or something, and it was making that sort of pew sound, and that was recorded.
Yeah, a bit like if you bang on a railway track.
Yeah, kind of similar. Yeah,
brick hits a railway track. Yeah.
So that's how they got that laser sound in Star Wars, which I thought was really, really interesting. A few people, I've talked to the people recently about that, and they never knew that. And there's videos of what's his name? What's the Star Wars guy's name? See, this is what happens. The old guy that started Star Wars. The director. Him, that guy.
You know.
Yeah.
Lucas,
that's him. He did a video about it. I don't know whether it was 10 years ago, 15 years ago. It was a while ago anyway. And he talked about it, and he's walking around like his sort of suburb, and they had like these telephone poles with these big massive cables holding them up, and he was hitting them, and that was making the sound. He thought, that sounds pretty cool, we'll use that. So there you go. It doesn't always have to be synthesized.
Now I'll make a film.
Yeah, now I'll use my puppeting techniques. George Lucas. See, look, even 10 seconds later we get someone.
So he got the sound and then decided to make the film.
Azio saying, wasn't it real lasers? Sorry, Azio. Yes, it was real lasers. Yeah. But
actually, the previous movie he did, which was THX 1138, actually had a really sort of interesting, all of those drone sounds and really interesting kind of incidental sounds in it as well. And I remember many years ago sampling that movie a lot and using it for all kinds of stuff when I was doing a lot more sort of cheesy sample stuff. But it's some really interesting stuff on that, and it actually sounds better at the time because it was coming off VHS tape, so it was actually had that unintentional bad lo-fi sound quality to it. And actually that was actually one of the good things, sampling lots of early Doctor Who soundtrack stuff and then using it in music, which I don't know if I could even get away with these days, but God, that was fun, because it was just like, because it was so poorly recorded in the first place, and it was just tape after tape, it just had this really great warpiness to it that you could just throw in the background as a really good sort of a rhythmic kind of sound behind it. So yeah, unfortunately, can't get away with that too much because everyone copyright strikes you. You know.
I mean, if you're making $1 million on it, then
Sure.
that's when you'll worry about it. But I mean, I'm not saying anything about you and what you do, Andrew. I'm sure you'll make $1 million from whatever you do. But if it was me, I wouldn't I just wouldn't care, because I know that I'm not going to make any more than about 50 cents on Spotify from something. So bugger it, just use it. Like that was. There's a famous English group called Pop Will Eat Itself. That was their motto. That was like, we don't care. They actually had a track called "Sample It, Loop It, Swear Word It, and Spit It Out." That was kind of that was their motto. So there was
actually a Australian band called Snog.
Yeah.
And the guy who ran it, David Throssell, he actually he did a big Musicians Against Copyright. This is before YouTube and all the rest of it. And his view on it was that if I have to listen to their crap on the TV, I should be at least able to sample it and turn it into music.
Yeah.
And he did.
Yeah. I think he's got legs on that. Someone will probably, with bigger pockets, will probably argue it. Sonic Neutronic mentioned, just in the chat there, that the guy that I showed before, Ben Burt, that was when I was showing that video before, this guy, Ben Burt, the guy that was showing the tape stuff, he apparently was the audio engineer for the lightsaber sound that I was talking about. So I didn't know that. So there you go. You learn something every day. Whether that will stay in my memory or not, I don't know. But there you go. And also, Wagoo saying Google copyright bots will find a way to get the samples. They will. Yeah. At the moment, I don't know if you guys know, but Google have sent a lot of staff home because of the COVID-19, social distancing, that. And as a result, a lot of the copyright algorithms are just left running. So if you do get a copyright strike on any videos on YouTube, you're basically stuck with that copyright strike until when the COVID-19 stuff, if it decides to go away. Anyway, Azio is saying he wants to sample those electricity pylons with his contact mice. Yeah, that'd be cool. It's people call the cops when they see someone standing near. Yeah.
banging high tension wires. Yeah, maybe that's not a good look.
You just like that. There was that meme going around where that guy was walking through the airport security with his modular, and he said to the lady, "It's not a bomb, I promise you." It's like the wrong word to say. The Prodigy, Wogu's saying the same with the Prodigy at first. They considered themselves pirates, although I'm sure all their samples are probably licensed these days and have, they probably just give little bits of money to whoever just to shut them up. Michael Elliott saying Trent Reznor, Atticus Ross, aka Nine Inch Nails, did an excellent soundtrack to The Social Network that sounded more like a sci-fi soundtrack. Yeah, I actually have heard that. It is actually definitely worth checking out. I absolutely love Trent Reznor, by the way. I'm a massive, massive fan. So, imagine if we could get him on the stream. Wouldn't that be awesome? And pick his brains. He's a very, very clever man.
I found the two composers that I was thinking about. So, when I was talking about the big tape loop stuff, the Arrival soundtrack by, and I'm going to get this name wrong, is Johan Johannesson, who unfortunately has passed away now. There's a making of video that actually shows you how he did it, and he had big, massive 1-inch tape that he literally ran around the room and then was tape looping that to get the actual effect that he wanted to for that particular soundtrack, to get the actual atmospherics for that. And it's really kind of interesting to watch as far as how he did that. The other composer I really love, there was a UK sci-fi, I say that loosely, show called Utopia, not the Australian Utopia, by a guy called Cristobal Tapia de Villa. And if you haven't had a listen to that, it's kind of this, it's been a little while since I've listened to it, but it's kind of almost glitchy, but very good. It's one of those really enjoyable, very unique kind of composers who do that kind of thing as well. So I'd suggest checking out both of those if you get a chance to.
Awesome. Well, I knew about Johan Johannesson, or Johansson.
Yes.
I actually knew about him, and actually I think I even watched that video that you're talking about with the big tape thing. That was a while ago, but I do remember seeing that. I actually really like his work. So yeah, it was sad to see him go. He actually went pretty young too, if I remember. He wasn't that old. So yeah, I think he was only in his 50s or 60s or something. He wasn't that old. But yeah, some sad ones have left us. Wagu's saying that he did an unreleased soundtrack to Blade Runner 2049 that got rejected before he passed away. Yeah, I heard that as well. I think a lot of the synth community were hoping that he'd get the gig for the Blade Runner movie, and there was a lot of disappointment with a lot of people that are close, in the synth community, us basically, right? Us guys, that he didn't get it and that other person got it. Mind you, though, in the end, I actually think the Blade Runner soundtrack was pretty decent. So they did a pretty good job. There's some people that would say that they would have preferred to have been more Vangelis-y, if that's a word, Vangelis-like, Vangelis-like. So I don't know. I do think it was good that it wasn't too much like Vangelis or Vangelis, however you want to say it. So I think it was quite politically done. It was kind of very careful the way they did that soundtrack. They didn't want to sound too much like another artist, but at the same time, I think Johan would have done a better job, definitely. And he's not here to back it up. But you can actually find that unreleased soundtrack somewhere. So just Google it. I think you'll find it. I think it's either on SoundCloud or something with Bandcamp. It's somewhere out there. You can definitely find it. Tapia Devere. Who's Tapia Devere, Mr. Mac?
So he's the one that I was talking about with the Utopia soundtrack.
Oh, the Utopia, yes, sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, but he also did Humans.
Yeah. So like I said, the guy, I won't say his name because I don't want to he earns enough money with synth stuff as it is. He was nowhere near Vangelis. So I think someone might correct me if I'm wrong, but I think he used Arturia VST to do the CS sounds, I think. And I know that he definitely had a CS80, but I think the actual recordings were of the Arturia one because I think he had problems with it keeping in tune and there was some technical problems with it. But someone can confirm that. I don't know. Anyway, it's live. It's on the internet. I've said it. Someone can tell me off. I don't care.
Actually, I have to say that I got a chance to play with a new Hydra synth.
Yes.
And that has I think it's like the third patch in the default patches that it's actually called, it's actually a Blade Runner reference. And they're trying to do a CS80 thing, and it's actually pretty, it's over the top, but it's actually very nice. It's quite a nice synth for doing that kind of stuff.
You got the ribbon controller on it too, so you can do the whole,
Yeah, but
pitch thing.
I mean, the one I was playing was the desktop one, and it's got the pressure sensitive buttons on it, so you can actually do all the poly aftertouch and stuff like that. So you can actually really, which is actually the key thing about the CS80 is all that poly aftertouch.
Yeah.
And you can really kind of, really play up to that. So if you want a cheaper version of a CS80, it's not a bad way to go.
Yeah. Ken will probably, when he's normally on the channel, he'll definitely fly the flag of the Hydra synth. It's a good synth. For me, I think Quantum would probably be more lust after for me. I don't know. Hydra synth's a lot cheaper though, but yeah,
a lot more money though.
I don't know. I don't have any money right now, so this is just all dreams. This is like
just get the full hog and get the Moog one.
This is if I rob a bank or win lotto. So, I actually haven't bought anything new really this year properly. Nothing major. So, But look, Behringer might bring out the CS80.
The DS80.
Yamaha may bring that. Yamaha were actually officially saying that they're wanting to find out if we really wanted one, and they launched. I talked about it on a stream a few months ago. They launched a forum and a website, and you could join and you could put your suggestions to Yamaha, and nothing's really happened. So usually when things are really quiet, that's when things are happening. So it's a bit like when you've got kids and you can't hear them. That's when you need to go find them, because they're up to something no good. So I think Yamaha are up to something right now. That's my guess. I don't know anything, no NDAs or anything either. So I do have a feeling that Yamaha are up to something. I really do. And yeah, I think it's going to be based on all that stuff that they collected from us, all of our opinions. So yeah, if Behringer released a CS80 and it's sounded authentic, I would probably be very keen to get it, because I do love the sound of that synth. There's a few things that CS80's got that nothing else has got. Like you mentioned already, Andrew, before, it's the play side of it, the playability side of it is pretty incredible. But that you can implement that in any synth. It doesn't really have to be a CS80. But there's a few things sonic wise that it's got that nothing else has. It's quite an interesting architecture too, because it's got kind of like two. It's kind of like you either use the patches or you use the synth engine. If you use the synth engine, you've got some kind of restrictions on how you can design your sound with it, and because of those restrictions, it forces you to make sounds a certain way, and that's what makes it kind of more unique. And then you've got those playability enhancements like polyphonic aftertouch, the pitch bend ribbon, those sort of things then add sort of more dimension to that. So I think it's the marriage of all of that makes it pretty impressive. And it's good because we're talking about the CS80, and the CS80 is definitely, I feel, in the top 5 or 10 of the sci-fi famous synths, and this is what this topic this week's all about. So it definitely is in the top, I'd say the top 5. ARP 2600, ARP Odyssey, Theremin would be in there. I definitely think a Moog of some sort of modular Moog, or maybe, I don't know, maybe a mini Moog, I don't know. So they would definitely be in there. Anyway, DX7 would probably be in there, because there was a lot of FM is brilliant for sci-fi sounds. So,
especially during the 80s, I would imagine through a lot of those 80s, the bad 80s sci-fi movies, there'd have to be a lot of DX7s and D50s for sure. I think someone mentioned D50s earlier.
Yeah, someone mentioned D50s. Yeah. So, Prophet 5 maybe. Who mentioned Prophet 5? Sonic Neutronic mentions Prophet 5. Was a whole stack of sci-fi and horror. Yeah, Prophet 5 was your horror synth. What was the other horror synth? I think D50 was your other horror synth too. They were famously horror synths. But yeah, we kept the topic sci-fi, not necessarily. I know I mentioned John Carpenter and Halloween, but that soundtrack was so synthy, wasn't it? It was brilliant.
Well, I mean, the other person to mention around that time, and is someone like Danny Elfman, who did what was that movie? Now it's tipped my tongue moment again, but he did.
Gotcha.
Yeah, he did a horror movie soundtrack at the same time. He was doing all kinds of stuff. I mean, he's not just known for doing things like The Simpsons and stuff like that. He was doing all that style of stuff as well. But I think he used a lot of romplers, actually, funnily enough. So, from what I can remember. So, JVs and stuff like that.
Well, these days,
There you go.
if we were to ever go, into the future, and then we were to look back at famous sci-fi movies of today, everyone would be like going, "Oh, they used this VST from this company. They don't exist anymore. They were this small boutique company that were writing software." Like they'll be talking about that stuff. I guarantee you, they'll be talking about it as if it's some sort of like romantic thing in the past. And like right now, we're looking at it going, "It's just a VST. What's so good about it?"
I think maybe the only time that VSTs really age is when they stop working because of computer upgrades.
like 32-bit
you know,
VSTs.
yeah, it'll be one of those things where people go, I really remember being able to use that, but it was on, you know, Windows XP, and that was the last time I could use some particular thing. It's like, you know, it's like the whole rebirth thing, you know. It's a bit hard to get it running. I think it's a bit hard to get running on Windows 10 these days. You know, it's things like that I wonder that whether VSTs will have that kind of classic thing that people go for. And whether people will do stupid things like dig up old Windows XP machines just to run a particular VST. Don't know if I would do that, but I wonder if someone will.
Well, I know there's projects in the world right now where they're trying to sort of virtualize the machines.
I could actually do that, actually.
What's that?
I've got a Mac G3 with Rebirth on, and
Mac G3.
also a Tokyo. So I could actually do that if I wanted to. Might be a plan, actually.
You might have to get the steam engine out from the shed, mate, and crank that up so that you can get it working. It's that old.
Oh no, it works fine. It's just underneath the desk.
Yeah, and I'm just trolling you. I was kind of alluding to, like, with computers and VSTs and things like that. There's projects in the world happening, not like the Wayback Machine, but kind of along those lines, where they're virtualizing the machines and they're trapping like snapshots of the software and everything in those machines, and they're like, you know, whether it's, you know, not Sun anymore, Oracle VirtualBox or whatever the virtual sort of machine thing that they're using, and they're keeping, you know, sort of like archival copies of these machines, and then you can just you know, start them up again because it's just a file basically. So you could virtualize your, you know, your music setup right now, and then just put it on ice and save it on a hard drive somewhere and bring it back in 20 years' time. Hopefully those virtual machines will still work, you know. Hopefully there's Intel still then.
Sell it on eBay for exorbitant prices.
Yeah, sell it on eBay. Sell your Mac G5, mate, on eBay. See what you can get for it. Say it's like retro, you know, it's filled with all this really cool retro music stuff on there that no one can buy anymore, and it's worth thousands. It might be a way to pay your bills, mate. We talked about when we talked about synths before, we talked about kind of like the, you know, the sort of early side. We talked about theremin and the 50s, and he's showing his mouth. He's a troller. Everything was all kind of like plasticky and see-through in those days, weren't they? They really had a thing for the plastic see-through stuff.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
Like it
still works.
A ball as well. Yeah.
But yeah, we were talking about the early days of synths being in sci-fi, but, you know, some of the guys in chat have been saying, what about Fairlight? What about Synclavia? So, you know, there was others as well. What about, you know, using an Atari with Cubase on it? You know, I'm sure there would have been movies that have done that way. So, yeah, so people are saying don't talk about Yamaha DX7. I wonder what that, you know, we talked about kind of using samplers and that, but some of the sound effects, with explosions and that, they definitely sounded synthy, like they sounded like they were noise mixed with, like, you know, a sub sort of sound. So, you know, those early sort of explosions definitely sounded synthy.
I wonder if there's a lot of the Roland Space Echo as well used for that kind of thing.
Yeah, it probably would have been. Yeah, or even Amigas. We talked about Ataris.
Yeah.
Even Amigas would, or maybe even, you know, the SID chip from the Commodore 64 might have been used. I know that those EMU system samplers were pretty popular with the movie makers. So it wasn't always Fairlight. Sometimes they had the EMU emulators and that sort of stuff. So they were pretty popular. I mean, you know, they're popular because look at Ferris Bueller's Day Off, right? I've read a story about that. That synth that appeared in that movie came from one of the musicians that was making the soundtrack for it. They said, well, we need to put something in his room to make, we could put this massive thing, it costs us so much money. And just about every kid in the 80s was kind of dying to go and buy one, and then they found out how much they actually were, and it was actually worth the same price as a car. And their parents were like,
I always used to like the spectrum analyzer on it, you know, the spectrum analyzer.
Yeah.
It's sort of like, I think the movie is about him not having a lot of money and trying to run around, yet he's got a $5,000 synth in the corner.
And his mate drove around in his dad's car and rode it off, and his dad's car was some MG or something like sports car thing that was like a classic. It would have been worth probably more than the synth. Yeah, it was pretty good. It was definitely a good movie. Emulator 3, I think it was, wasn't it?
Yeah.
But that, I mean, we sort of digress. But yeah, that era of the 80s was when samples were more the go. So a lot of the sci-fi movies would have been all just, like you said, just going around recording stuff and sampling it, and then mangling the sample with dressing it with reverb or tape delay or whatever, and just to sort of make it all sci-fi.
Yeah. 1 second samples.
Yeah. Little PCMs even.
Actually, I must admit that's something I really do miss in a lot of music is and soundtrack design and stuff like that, is people getting, not that I've got the patience for it either, but get the old hardware samplers and mangle sounds. You know, that it's you don't see a lot of people doing that as much these days, probably because it's, you know, it's easier to pull up a VST than it is to try and sample that particular synth in and then, you know, adjust all of the different whatever it is you wanted to do with it. And it's kind of, you know, there's a certain kind of element that's kind of missing from sample manipulation, like the old Mirage and how the Mirage used to, you know, mangle sounds in a certain particular way.
Yeah.
That people liked, and that's probably another one that, you know, people used a fair bit too. You know, and that was one of the beauty about a lot of the. Sorry, go on, Dan.
I was going to say, speaking of that, on my track tomorrow that'll be out, there's a bit of a studio tour in the video, and I actually used the Akai S3000 XL to do a little tiny bit of sound. Oh god, it took a long time. So to do a little bit of sample, it took to do a little bit of sampling in the track, and then I banged it into Ableton because it was getting on my nerves. But yeah, so I've actually done a little bit with the SL, and you'll see the sampler.
I've got
it's
quite
cool.
Funny that you brought that up. I've got a show note ages ago I wrote, Darren, where I wrote down, like, you know how we set the topics each week for this, and I wrote that Darren's going to show his Akai S3000 sampler, and it's just like it scrolled down. It was so long ago when we talked about you doing it. It was probably like halfway through last year. I don't know when it was. It was a long time ago though. Yeah, it was pretty fun.
Well, I might try and do something like that with the SO1 sample, which is underneath it, because they're about this big.
Yeah,
and they weigh a ton.
19-inch rack.
Yeah, and to get it out of the rack right down below, it's like by the time I've got it out, plugged in, sample something, spin, because on the SO1 it's just numbers, so you have to you know, track the numbers back to cut the sample, and it's like and you just think, I can stick it in Ableton and do it in like that, and yet I'm spending 3 minutes trying to crop a sample.
But if you were a good mathematician, you'd be able to work out what those numbers meant.
Oh, you can listen to it as you play it, so you just wound them back.
So you just work out what bit rate your sample's at, and then you can work out how many of those bits per second, and then you'll be able to work out what those numbers mean. It's pretty simple math. Just use division.
And then
in hex.
Yeah, but then I've lost the whole sort of flow of the work.
Imagine working with, oh mate, it's like working with those tiny little LCD screens in like the Roland JDXi and stuff like that, trying to menu those synths. I hate those sort of stuff. I should sell that synth. We were talking about samplers, right? And this show has this ability to sort of relate back to itself. Like the Quantum would be a perfect synth, don't you think, with all that sort of sample craziness, and you've got that ability to wavetable it, or even some sort of granular. Like I think that's really going to be the big there's going to be. I just saw a comment. It's going to be the big. It already is. It's not going to be. It already is the big new part of where synths are going. It's that granular and that sort of wavetable side of things. Definitely, subtractive will play its part. Like I think synth makers should always put analog filters in synth. I love analog filters. I should always have an option for an analog filter. I think get to the point where there was that thing I was mentioning a couple of weeks ago when you could order that modular thing. Do you remember that, Darren? And you could choose what type of filter you want, and it was like 7 or 8 different.
Yeah.
It was Curtis or SEM or Moog. There was all these different types of. I think it even had Steinberg in there. So imagine having a granular and wavetable synth with your choice of filters. Maybe you could have 2 or 3 filters in a bank, and they were analog. You can just think that some of these designs are going to head down that way if they haven't already. So I reckon that's definitely the way to go. A lot of people are talking about the Tasty Chips GR1. It's been out for a while. I don't know if I like that platform. I think it was something that needed to be made. But I think someone needs to take that and go the next step with it. I think there's a lot of things that it doesn't do that it should, and someone needs to take that and go to the next step. I definitely like the idea with the interface. Can you imagine like if Akai used the MPC sort of platform and went down some sort of granular thing with their samplers? I think that to me that's the next logical step. I know it's not an MPC thing, like thoroughbred MPC, historically that's what they would do, but that would be a cool thing. That would be an awesome, cool thing.
I wanted a hardware version of Isotope's Iris 2 synth.
Yeah. That'd be awesome.
That'd be quite interesting.
Or even, what's that one that Arturia did? Starts with the P. By the time I start Ableton up,
Pigments.
That would be an awesome hardware synth too. But yeah, people were talking about Fairlights. Don't forget, you can get that Fairlight emulator that I mentioned before. I don't know how many people in chat actually went and downloaded that. Arturia piglets. Good on you, work. That Fairlight thingy. What's it called? I mentioned it a few weeks ago. It's free.
Is it?
Yeah, it's free.
I'll have to go download it.
If it's not free anymore, then I've got it and I got it for free. So
or you can go down to Melbourne and play with a real Fairlight.
Oh yeah, there's one here in my city.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
If you're in
Melbourne,
it's not very well though.
Yeah, you don't travel because you're in 14 days of quarantine. But you can go to Mess in Melbourne, and they actually have one that you can go and original one that you can go play with, and which is funny because
Quasar Beach was the thing. Sorry, I just wanted to get that out before I forget. Quasar Beach. That was the emulator. So Quasar Beach for Windows or for Mac, and I might even be able to bring it up.
Yeah, I think I was thinking of the iPad one.
Oh no, that was actually done by Peter himself. Through someone else, and it was never done well. The iPad one. Let me share my desktop for a sec. Hope I don't get any noise coming out. What happened to it? I just thought I added it. Oh, there we go. So there you go. That's what Quasar Beach looks like. So it actually does look like a real Fairlight. So they've reversed engineered everything. Pretty sure. If you go back through my channel, there'll be links to this. But if you guys want me to send you, I can send the zip files to you. But yeah, Even got MIDI configuration in there. Waveform display, index, disk control. Pretty cool. It's just like a Fairlight, the way it works. It even will read Fairlight original sample sizes. I'm just going to close that because I don't want to crash my stream. Shouldn't be running things on the same computer as the streaming computer, but it is Windows, so yeah. Give them a plug. So it's saying name your own price, is that what it's saying now for Quasar Beach? Let me bring up the website. Quasar Beach. adamstrange.itch.io. Okay, yeah, he's saying name your price now. All right. So he's probably just asking for a donation.
That's fair.
Which is, just if you on the bones of your butt and you don't have any money because you've lost your job because of your government's, forced you to stop working, then you can say zero. I don't think I need to pay for this because I've got nothing to do and I'm bored. That could be what you could say. I don't know. I don't think there's anything ethically wrong with saying that either. What do you guys think? I mean, seriously, if the government's forced you to lose your job and you're stuck and you're on the bones of your butt, and maybe, I don't know, maybe that you're on some sort of government welfare payment, or maybe you're just down to one income, it's, if you've got to entertain yourself somehow. And I think sometimes people try. Does your inbox get hammered with people trying to sell you stuff right now? Like, I know, other than the spam folders.
That on the TV.
Yeah. What's the deal? Like, where do you think we're going to get our money from if we're not working?
Well, I find all this.
We can't go out. We can't play gigs at pubs. Or we can't perform at concerts. Where do they think we're going to get our money from? Seriously. Like, right now, the smarter organisations that are sensitive about what's happening with the music industry is they're going out and they're saying, we're not going to charge you a subscription fee for your normal subscription service. Like, hey, Roland, wouldn't that be nice? Sorry, that was a dig at Roland. But, I can name a few companies that are doing that. They're saying, we've frozen the subscription. You guys have free subscription for the next, we're not going to take it out of your credit card. That sort of stuff, is what people need to be doing.
It's actually great marketing.
Yeah, I mean, that's what builds loyalty in the industry. They know that we're not gigging, we're not selling album, because the only way to make money as a musician now is to perform live and actually, be in front of your fans. That's a known fact. You can't can't make money on Spotify. Nobody can, unless you're an absolute massive big artist. And even that, the money that you make, they've whinged about how much they don't get. So therefore, really, we're supplementing our music, what's it called? Our music hobby, if you want to call it that, without sort of stepping on anyone's toes. People have more careers and hobbies, and people have less careers and more hobbies. It depends on the individual, but we're supplementing that with other income, aren't we? We're supplementing that with, maybe it's single income at the moment if you're married and you've got a family. Maybe it's a welfare payment that you're getting, and you're just, I won't eat ramen today. I'll buy a VST, whatever. Do you know what I mean? Like, so I think ethically speaking, they shouldn't be asking for money.
Yeah, they could give you some more cut down VSTs to get you into that manufacturer as well. Stuff that they don't normally do.
Yeah, like someone said, like that Spotify should double the payments that people get from the royalties of the streams being played, because they get bugger all now. So double of bugger all is a bit better than nothing. But do you know what I mean? So, and I mean, it's a Swedish company, isn't it, Spotify?
Yeah, but Spotify is actually losing money, right? Most of the money that they get goes straight to the big players. Right? So it's actually the artists are actually restricted by the arrangements between Spotify and the big record labels. That's the problem. But I don't think Spotify hasn't made a profit in a long time. I don't think.
Yeah, you're probably right. I mean, I know SoundCloud are definitely in that situation, but I was under the impression Spotify are making billions. So I know definitely SoundCloud haven't made any money, but yeah, it could be right.
But Bandcamp has done. Bandcamp took away all their fees for a period of time as well during this.
Bandcamp have always been relatively free, unless you want the sort of the extra stuff. And a lot of people don't need that extra stuff. It's only when you sort of start becoming famous that you might want that. But yeah, Wagu's saying a lot of the free stuff that you need to register for, then you have your email pimped out for that other stuff that they charge money. Yeah, that's exactly right. But look, at the end of the day, if you probably don't mind them so much doing that because they've given you something. They're growing your loyalty with it. So you can always add them to your spam. You can flag it as spam and it just goes into your spam folder. I don't know what email account you guys use, but we use Gmail here, and all you have to do is just flag it as spam. You'll never see emails from that company ever again. It's brilliant. You can go in and have a look. It's in your spam folder.
None of the free. It's free, but it's not free because it turns into a demo without you realizing it, and then you can't use it. That's what I hate.
Yeah, or they never update it, so then it just completely just breaks, and they said, well, you didn't pay for it. We're not updating it. So
yeah, secretly it's not free. It's only a demo for 30 days.
Yeah, like the old shareware days. Do you remember those things? Shareware. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I want everyone to know, like, I'm just the same situation as everyone else in the world where we've got people who are being told that they're not allowed to work. In my house, that's happened here. And so that means our income is a lot tighter than what it normally is. So, we can't really sort of go out and buy CS80s and be stupid. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's just, your kids won't eat. And at the same time, it's just, I read forums all day because I'm involved in a lot of it, and I see musicians really struggling. Like, there's people that were musicians as that's their primary job, and they've been told they can't gig, they've been told they can't perform live. So what do? Where do they get their income from? They join the doll.
I caught up with a mate of mine today, and he runs an AV company here, and that's it.
Yep.
So it's
no more
hard.
What do you call it? Promotional event for him to set up for.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, the thing is, everyone's feeling it. I was having a conversation with someone today about the ethics of countries. Some countries do it differently to others, so this won't always apply to where you live, but depending on where you live, you might have a politician sort of putting pressure on commercial organisations, like, for example, landlords to not charge rent, putting pressure on banks to not charge for mortgages, putting pressure on organisations that charge things for people to go about their daily lives, but yet they don't stop their charges. So it might be like to register your car on the road, or it might be that you've still got a state-run utilities like electricity or gas or water even. So, and they're still charging you for that. So for me, it's, if they're going to go down that path and stop us from working, because we're trying to save lives. That's the primary role, and I get it, but they've got to stop other things at the same time. They can't expect money just to, I'll just go out in my backyard and pull that $100 bill growing on the tree out there just to pay this power bill that I've got. Like, it's just crazy. So yeah, Triple 8 Berg's telling me to sell my wife. Nah, she's good. My wife's a keeper. Hey, if you want to know about my wife, she bought this synth for me in 2015. She bought this for me. If your wife buys you synths, she's a keeper. She's bought other ones for me too. She bought me my Sub 37 as well, which is sitting behind me there.
So she's a double keeper.
She's bought me more than one or two things. So she gets me stuff. She's funny. She doesn't like to. She calls it pianos. Like, how many pianos have you got? So she kind of doesn't really get it, but at the same time, she knows that it's stuff that I love. So she'll get it for me. So she's a keeper. Yes. And on that note, find out who's selling wives in the chat. I'm just having a quick look. Who'd buy your wife? I mean, seriously. Andrew's saying she's definitely a keeper. Yeah, there you go. See? Triple Eight Burst retracted it. Yep, she's a good find. Yeah, she's a good one. We've been married for 20 years, coming up at the end of this year. So yeah.
Congratulations.
Long time. If it was an ARP 2600, I'd say yes, says Axel Soft.
The full size model, of course, right?
Yeah, the Korg remake, full
new
size.
one.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
But Axel, she said that I could have that. We actually had this conversation on the stream a few months ago. She said that I could go and get it. Now, imagine if I went and bought that. Like, we would be, whatever it was, 15 grand or whatever it would have cost me to get, less in the bank than what I've got now. I mean, I'd be hurting. I've got savings at the moment, so, things are okay. But yeah, I'm glad that I didn't go get that synth. I mean, I love that synth, and I don't care. Jokes aside, ramen isn't that nice. Especially when you've got a family of 5 and you've got to feed them all ramen, and they're like, yeah. I just watched this show on Netflix called The Platform or something like that, where it's like a prison, and they go through, they get moved from platform to platform, and it's got cannibalism in it. It was really grotesque, and I actually stopped watching it because it had cannibalism in it. I was like, whoa, that is like absurd. And especially now,
Is that the one where there's less and less food as it goes down?
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah.
I was gonna say I wasn't sure if at the very end it was just gonna have the the ramen noodle bowl for the very bottom.
I'm not going to tell you what happens down the very bottom. It's actually I don't recommend watching it. It's a bit like hard to stomach, but it's weird. It is really, really weird. Yeah, don't watch it. If you're into weird shit, then watch it, because it'll be right up your alley. But yeah, maybe you might need to smoke something before you watch. I don't know. Yeah. Or take something. Anyway, someone's asking if I want to do wife swapping now. Oh dear. Mr. Max saying that he's going to get divorced. Brilliant. Inky's offering you a 6-pack or a plain crisps. What's she offering you that for, Darren?
Because I'm always eating crisps.
I don't mind the old crisp. Yeah. Axel Soft still going on about the donkey jaw. What's your favourite crisp flavour, Darren? Just out of curiosity.
Salt and vinegar. Even though I always eat plain when I'm on air. Already salted.
What colour are salt and vinegar packets in England? Are they pink like they are in Australia? Are they always pink?
No, they're green or blue.
Really? In Australia, salt and vinegar chips are always pink, aren't they, Andrew? We call
green is
we
chicken.
call them
Now,
chips.
pink is usually prawn cocktail.
Right. That's interesting. Tell us what your favourite crisp or chip flavour is in the chat if you eat them. Anyway, we're going to probably finish
And what colour?
on that note. And what colour's the packet? Because that's really important for synthesizers. Pink for salt and vinegar? Yep. Go look it up. Go look up Smith chips in Australia, and you'll see it's a pink packet, and it's definitely the most famous packet of chips in Australia.
And while you're looking up that, go look up old Twisties commercials, Australian Twisties commercials from the 80s.
Oh, they're brilliant, aren't they? They're really, really good.
Yeah.
Look them on YouTube.
Yeah.
Let us know let us know while we're finishing anyway. Let us know in the comments if you're watching this on the replay what your favourite sci-fi movie and favourite synth is. And also, don't forget that this was just a bit of a chat about episode 51, and we always have trouble finding a topic to talk about. So, thanks very much everyone for joining, and hopefully we can see you all back here next week. Everyone stay safe and stay healthy, and obviously, for obvious reasons, we'd love to see you all back, and keep the jams coming up on YouTube if you can. Put your music up there, and we'll let us know about it. Thanks everyone, and always goodbye.
Check mine out. It's Isolation.
Darren's got his links in the video description. Andrew doesn't have a YouTube channel, but that's all right. We'll work on him. He works on that. See you guys. All the best.
See ya.